All right, then I'm
Yeah,
gonna
do
share
you
my
mark them
screen.
in your
Huh?
different time frames and different colors?
That was a question. I was like, somebody asked something. I forgot what it was. Yes, so I use squares. And let me share my screen, and again, my screen's gonna look a little funky. So I'm gonna show you what do I do for those who asked the question about what do I use. I use squares. Share screen. I'm gonna use this one. And I'm gonna share screen, desktop number 2. And again, I can't see your chat when I'm sharing. So if you can see, let me know you can see my screen. You can either.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, phenomenal. All right, so this is SPX, right? And this is kind of what I dropped inside the Telegram group. So this morning, what I did, I dropped this in the Telegram group and I went over the market analysis with them. This gray box here, or this gray square, is what I calculated. This is what I think that price, this was my potential price was going to contain in my gray square. So price will close and remain inside this gray square. This orange square is my secondary. If for some reason price want to break out, because again, it's not always accurate. When I say it's about 90% accurate, because there's the 10% chance when momentum is extremely strong, momentum will push price down. For example, like this candle that happened on what was this, Friday? Last Friday, when momentum, this was the Dow was down over 1,000 points. It went down negative 1,000 point. I think the Dow was down over 3%. So this candle was so long. This candle traveled 2.5 standard deviation. Typically, XPX travel 1 cent. This is a 2.5 travel. So this is going to break through my my line. This orange box is basically 2 standard deviation, 1 to the upside and 1 to the downside. So what I use this box for, I calculate this box to contain price. The gray box, I use the closing price and I'm in implied volatility to calculate it. And then the orange box, I use closing and my ATR. I like EMAs, all right? EMA ATR, I also use SMA ATR. And what do I do each day? Every day I will drop this and I will let people know, okay, this is my high. I see this is the highest that I think price will go today. If it does break through momentum, this is my secondary high, the orange one. Down here, this is the gray one, is my lowest, and then this is the secondary low. As you can see right now, XPX today went up. Price actually gapped up to open. It gapped above my 15-minute zone that was holding. So I need to erase this right now because this was holding for at one time. And actually, let me leave it and show you what it was holding. And then it went up here. This is my second 15-minute zone. I like to do that. And it was holding. It was rejected from this one. And then it went up here and test my first potential high, which is my gray box. It tested it. It kind of tried to push through it, but this potential high held. It tested it and then it rejected right back down. So for me, I'm like, okay, if it would have came through here, here was my second potential high, which is what my orange one. But at this orange one, I have a daily supply zone. Blue is for daily for me. And then this yellow is a 1 hour supply zone. So for somebody who asks me what colors do I use different colors, but I use boxes. And notice that there's not a lot of price on my box. I'm sorry, on my line. So to find out what my coordinates are, you can either put your line over it, or you can double click on the box and it will tell you what the coordinates are. So here are my coordinates. The top line here is 40, 30, 72. And then the bottom line, so my proximal, what you guys call it, would be 40, 63. And then my distal will be 40, 30, 72. And that's how I know what my my actual labels are without having to put all these numbers on my line. Does that make sense? So that's what XPX is. So that's my daily. So again, for me, I had every day, again, if you have not joined my 7-step Telegram group, again, feel free to join. It's pinned in the chat. Every day, what I do is I chart these every day and I update these boxes and I drop a screenshot of these boxes to people who follow in the Telegram group. And I let them know, okay, the potential high, this is the range. And I get, you know, from here, this number to this number, that's my potential high. I see price, that's where price will go the highest. If it breaks through this first potential high, it will more than likely reject from this second potential high and won't go through it unless momentum is extremely strong. Down here is my potential low. I dropped that in the chat as well. My potential low that price will go through this one first, the gray one. And if it breaks through this gray one, the second bottom one will resist it. And as you can see, price literally, the gray one worked up here, it kept price, but then down here, when momentum changed and started going back down and sellers were in, price came to the gray one and it started pushing through. But what happened? My secondary orange one, price didn't, price contained it. So price stayed within my orange box, which is the ultimate. If this makes sense, says makes sense. Can you make the box again with the exact price? Can you make the box again? I'm sorry. So how do I get the box? It's over here to the left. I just go to the left right here, and I can show you how I would draw the box. Let me erase my daily box or my daily supply zone and show you how I draw it. So I like to, sometimes I keep my magnet on, sometimes I don't. So for now, I'm gonna take the magnet off. And I'm gonna go and find the box, which is here. Everything that I use on a regular, I put them in a, what do you call that word? Favorite them, and they come up here. So anything I use regularly, I put them in a favorite. So how do we do that? When I click on it, you see how it says this little arrow here? If I click on it, it leaves my favorite. If I click on it again, it gets added back to here. So anything I use on the daily, I favorite. So I'm gonna click on this square, and the zone that I'm gonna do the daily, I'm gonna use this zone right here. Let me make it. If you guys were doing like this, you got a leg in, base leg out. I call it drop, base drop. If you guys were charting this daily zone, I'm gonna get a square, and I'm gonna put a square around it, just like I would do the lines. If it works better for your line, what you can do is, let me just do the lines then. I'm gonna take my ray, and I'm gonna draw, you guys call it proximal first, and I'm gonna label that blue, because I like to do blue for my daily. I do dotted line, I like that. And I'm gonna draw the distal. So now that you have these lines, the proximal and the distal, so what I would do now, notice how I have my two price line here. I don't want the price line. So what I will do is I will just go and grab the square and put the square at the same place where the price lines are. And once I do that, I will erase my price line to make sure that the prices are the exact. If I have magnet on, the magnet will even snap your box to the base, high, open, high, low. It'll snap it for you when you have the magnet on. That way you know you're in the right place. And then I can just delete my lines. And once I do that now, it won't be in the corner anymore. Did that make sense? I think who asked Emma, did that make sense? So that's how I get my my boxes and draw them. And I do the same thing for the 1 hour. So this in here is a 1 hour zone. I'll go down to the 1 hour and show you what it looked like. So on the 1 hour, I use yellow, like another, you can pick your colors, all right? So this is my 1 hour zone. I will go down and I will find a zone here. It's kind of okay, I don't know, but I will have to see what price does. But here's another 1 hour zone that was charged. So what I would do in this 15-minute area, I'm gonna delete these, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna chart this new, I like this new 1 hour right here. So I'm gonna grab my square, and I'm gonna chart this 1 hour zone right here. It's gonna be a 1 hour supply zone. For 1 hour supply zone, I use yellow, and I use yellow as my outline. And instead of doing it red inside, when it's a supply zone, I like to do blue when it's 1 hour. I don't know why. And then I make it 1 point or one side. So that's my 1 hour supply zone. And then I'm looking to see how price is gonna react when it comes to it. I can delete these entry zones. If that makes sense, type makes sense. And again, I chart intermediate zones. I chart 1 hour. I chart this orange one right here. This is actually a 4 hour zone. And that's what price reacted to. If you were to watch my market analysis today, when I went live, I told you guys that yes, price was gonna gap up, it gapped up. I said price was gonna gap up, come back and close the gap, it did just that. I also was telling you that I was gonna be able to see some pullback to the 4 hour zone, and it did that. It literally pulled back to the 4 hours and almost ate the whole zone up. So I'm gonna do analysis to let you know what I'm looking at for next week and what will I speculate price will do for next week. Also on SPX, I probably would chart right here. It's not a zone that I chart for the daily, but I'm gonna acknowledge it. So I'm gonna put a daily line here just because it looks like something. Again, I mean, I'm not gonna take a trade from there, but I'm gonna acknowledge it because I know some price will do something when it comes here. So I put dotted lines for things that I'm watching. If I'm watching the zone, I'm not taking a trade from it. I kind of just put a dotted line and see, okay, let me know, okay, look at this zone and look at this area. When price come here, see what happened. What is price gonna do? How is it gonna react? And then that way I know as it's coming down to the zone I'm waiting on, which is I hope it comes down here, which is my low from June, and I hope it does. I'm waiting on this zone here, this bottom zone. And this has a nice 1 hour zone, daily zone in it too. So I'm waiting on this little nice zone down here because it's just so perfect, right? It's in a triple zone. Let me mark it. So 1 hour, I use turquoise. It's in a triple zone. All right. Can you see it? It's in a triple zone. It's in a monthly, weekly, and a daily. So I have my monthly here, which is my thick yellow line. My weekly is gonna be my white line, and then my daily is below. So if I'm going in a monthly, weekly, daily, I'm waiting for this one. I want price to come down here, pick me up, and then roll. So I'm watching to see how it does this zone. It may not come here, so if not, this is the one I'm waiting on now. So I'm waiting on this one here, which is a double zone. It's not a triple, it's a double. It's a daily and a monthly. So, and it's kind of right above the weekly. So if price, let's say price come down here into this zone and stop. This is a good, I like this zone as well. Why? Again, this is a monthly zone, so it'll enter into the monthly. It's a daily zone. And then if it comes all the way down to the bottom of the daily, what's right here? I have this uptrend line that may act as support. And I also have the proximal of the weekly as well. Matter of fact, I lied, I missed it. This is a weekly zone here. Oh, I lied. Here's the weekly zone. So it'll be a triple zone. So I like this one first. So this white is the weekly. This is the daily, and this is the monthly. So this zone, I like this one. So I'm liking, I'm gonna see how price reacts. I'm gonna wait for this one as well because it's also a triple zone, and it will have this uptrend line to be number 4 confluences. And then if I have my price or a pin that's formed, I'm taking it. I'm gonna pause. Let me know if you have any questions. So if that makes sense, this is how I chart my zones. For those who are asking what kind of color I use boxes. I go to the monthly and I put some box around the monthly. The monthly is yellow boxes. Yellow thick boxes is the monthly. Shaded in green if it's a demand zone, and I shade it red if it's a supply zone. Then I go to my weekly. I use white boxes for my weekly. And then I shade it in red if it's a supply zone, and I shade it in the weekly, green if it's a demand zone. Then I go to my daily. I use blue box for my daily, shaded in red. And then I use turquoise, which is a form of blue, for my daily demand zone, shaded in green. And then I go down to my 4 hour. I use orange for my 4 hour. So my 4 hour zone that I charted was this one right here. I shaded green. If it's a demand zone, if it was a supply zone, I would have shaded red. And then now 1 hour is the only one I shade a different color because that's the zone I trade. I'd like to trade the 1 hour. So the 1 hour, I would trade the, I use yellow for my 1 hour, the same one as the monthly, but it's a thinner yellow. The monthly is like size 3. The 1 hour I use size 1. And I also now, when I shade the 1 hour in, I shade the supply zone blue instead of red. And I keep this one as, I should probably use this turquoise or something. But that's how I do my zone. And notice how my chart is so clean. Why am I unread? I don't know. But notice how clean my charts are. There's not really any price on the left side. It's just a little bit of price, it's just my lines. And this line, I can even take this line off right now because I have the box. And this is gonna be my lines. If this makes sense, type makes sense. If you have any question, I'm gonna pause for any questions. Do you set an alarm for when it gets close to where you want to jump in? Yes, I do. I set multiple alarms. So I'm setting alarms for, if I'm waiting for a zone, I'm setting an alarm to kind of see how the price is reacting when it approaching my zone. So let me show you a zone, for example. Let's say I'm waiting for this zone right here, which is at this line, 39.70 or something like 37.90. I think I have this calculator just now. 37.90. If I was waiting for this 37.90 zone, what I would do, and again, to get the actual number for the zone, you can either double click on it to kind of see it. So 37.89 area. So I'm going to call it 37.90. So if I'm going to wait for 37.90, that's the zone I'm waiting. I'm going to set some alerts. So I'm going to say, okay, let me know when price approach this first zone that I'm not waiting on it, but I'm going to watch it and see what it does. So I'm going to set an alert and let me know when price is at 39.10, which is this zone right here. It's a demand zone, but I don't like it. I don't want to trade from it. Let me know when it comes to it so I can see what price does. So when my alert goes off, I'm watching to see, okay, what is price doing at this zone? I may go down to a lower time frame, the 1 hour, and see what it's doing to this zone on the 1 hour. Then right below that, this orange line here, this is a 4 hour. And again, I use orange boxes for my 4 hour. I just didn't feel like doing a box. I was doing it during the market hour. This is somewhat of an advanced zone up here and down here. So I just put an orange line here, and this is going to be my 4 hour. I can even make it thicker if you want to make it thicker. Hide it so you guys can see it just for today's purpose. So now I have these two, and these two are potential proximal lines. I'm going to use your language. So these are potential zones. So this is a potential daily proximal. This is a potential 4 hour proximal. Am I gonna take a trade from it? No, I'm not. That's not the zone I want. But I want to see what price is doing as it's approaching my zone. Does that make sense? Now I have this green line as well, this green dotted line here, which is also, there's a gap somewhere. So I'm gonna say, okay, there's a gap. So I'm gonna tell me, let me know when price approach here. My next alert, let me know when price approach this one. Let me know when price approach this. As my alert goes off, I know that it's approaching my zones. But let me know when price approach this zone. And then once I set them, I can say, okay, price is close to where I'm getting in. I'm gonna now start to get in and get ready to take my trade. But before I take it, I'm gonna go down to the 1 hour because I'm gonna look and see what's happening on the 1 hour, how is price acting as it travels down, and I'm watching it, and then I'm gonna take my trade. For me now, if I'm waiting on this zone right here, but as price was coming down, I see that price is just like blowing through, and momentum is strong. That's gonna tell me, okay, this may not be the zone I wanna take it on because of what was happening prior as price was approaching it. So if price was just blowing through things and then my 15-minute supplies are holding, but my one day daily zones are getting blown through, it's telling me, okay, sellers are really in charge. So this, I'm gonna see how it reacts to this. So I'm gonna need to confirm this zone and wait for some type of price signal for me to get in. Because more than likely, if price is literally just coming down and blowing through everything, it may blow through this zone again. So I don't wanna get in to go long and get stopped out. So I need confirmation before I go in. And what is confirmation? What price is doing as it's getting to my zone. What is it doing on those lower time frame? And that will help me to paint the picture to say, okay, whether my zone is strong enough or whether I should wait for a lower time zone. Let me pause. If that makes sense, type makes sense. All right, so with that being said, this is just how I look at everything. Again, if you have not yet joined, you should definitely join. I drop all this information, and this is literally what I'm going through right now before the market open. I got on this morning at 9:15. I'm gonna try to get on at like 9 o'clock so I can start and get you guys through everything. But I go through everything and let you guys know where I see price going, what I see happening in the price. But as long as price stay within my box, I'm good to go. So for me, if I'm gonna enter a position, and depending on what the market is doing, I do different strategies for different positions. If the market is consolidating, I have one strategy for that. If the market is ranging, which is consolidating, I have another strategy. If the market is uptrending, I have one strategy. If it's downtrend, I have different strategies for different market condition. So you have to know what market condition to use and what strategy you want to use for that. And what I do is, again, I just drop it in the chat. So today, I played a double zone. I played above the orange line, and I played below the orange line. And both those positions were profitable. And again, I'm still in my sim because I'm still testing. I don't need to be live right now. Both of these were profitable. When I went in above the orange line, I want to say that price was going to stay below my orange line. When I went below the orange line, I'm going to bet that price was going to stay above it. So that's the strategy I used, and both of them were profitable. I also could have used a strategy where I actually went inside and say, okay, I want price is definitely going to come through and go through the line that I picked, which says if I picked to get in at 39.60, if that was my strike, and again, I'm using strike because we do options on here. If I did 39.60, I'm going to use a strike to say, okay, price is going to definitely go and break through 39.60. That's what I want. So I would have played a strike in the middle. If I played a strike in the middle and price, because what I want price to come and I want price to go through my strike, my 39.60. And if it does that, that means the profit of trade. So different market condition, I use different strategies. I'm going to pause. Any question on this? Unmute yourself. You can go ahead and ask any question. I'm going to leave my SPX up. And then for those of you guys who trade SPY, let me show you real quick while we have any question. Standard deviation. I told you guys about that. Let me show you what that looked like. And I also dropped this chart inside of the Telegram group this morning. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There we go. When the market opened, I go down to the 3-minute time frame. And what do I do on the 3-minute time frame? I'll let you guys know what's going to happen. Let me show you where we are today. So this is today, right here. So you guys can see. This was yesterday, September 1st. This was today, September 2nd. So as the market opened, this is a zero line, right? When you guys see it, when you talk about standard deviation, this is a zero line. XPX typically travel 1 standard deviation per day. Either you can go 1 to the upside or 1 to the downside. And that's what this orange line is, 0.25, 0.5, 0.75, 1 standard deviation. If I'm going the other way, starting at 0, negative 0.25, negative 5, negative 0.75, and then negative 1 is at the bottom. So what XPX did, I told everybody XPX was gonna gap up. And how do I know that? Because of what future was doing, right? So that's why I tell you guys, watch the futures as well. Because futures was up, I knew XPX was gonna gap up. The whole market did, right? So XPX went up in and it gapped above my 0.25 and it gapped above my 0.5. So I said, okay, it's going to 0.75. So it went up here and immediately started rejecting. I was like, okay, that means that to me, 0.75 is somewhat of a resistance, but also when I see the rejection, I'm saying, okay, let me see if it's gonna now 0.5 is gonna hold as support. It says, no, it broke down support. So I was like, okay, it's trying to come back down and close the gap. And that's what it did. It came back down. 0.525 wasn't really supporting anymore. It started consolidating a little bit and then it kept dropping. In addition to it, my EMAs were acting as resistance and support as well. It came and it closed it and then it started going back up. Now buyers were like, okay, let's push price back up and push it up. But what did it do? This gray line right here, this was my first potential high. So I'm expecting price to come in and price may under lower time frame, it may come in and try to close and peak above it, but then came back down. As you can see, it came up a little bit. It was a fake out. Came up close above it. You think that, okay, this has been broken. Nah, we're still good to go. Price came back in and then what it did, it started acting as resistance. It came in, price tried to come back up and push it back. It consolidated around it for a little bit and it came up again and it pushed it back. And from then, once the seller said, nah, we're in charge today, momentum changed and momentum's been dropping since then. So this is what I use standard deviation for. Once it turned down at 0 line, I said, okay, we're definitely negative. When we went here, we started going negative all the way down. And then it came down here, it tested, it rejected, it came back. And then it closed below my first potential low. It went down, but what it did, it tried to come below my second potential low and then rejected and came back up. So this is how I use standard deviation to be able to do that. I drop this in the chart literally, like I said, every morning, I drop this in the chart because I chart this for myself. So what I do, I share it with you guys. I'm no longer sharing it in this Telegram group, the Friday Night Study Group, because again, I want to keep this Friday Night Study Group just for whatever purposes. I drop a lot of market analysis. So I just created a 7-step, 7-figure mark. It's not just for market analysis, it's for my whole 7-step, but I've dropped market analysis in that group. If you want my chart, if you want to see what's going on, you're going to join and that's where I go live with. I go live on my 7-step Telegram group in the morning and do my market analysis. So that's SPX. I told you guys SPY does the same thing. So let me show you SPY as well. Before I do the standard deviation for SPY, let me show you what SPY's chart look like. In addition to SPX, I also do SPY and do my boxes. So let me see, I didn't check SPY today to see if SPY stayed inside of this box. So let me check it right now. XPY. Hopefully SPY didn't break out. Is this SPY? Yep. But this is not where I have the boxes at, so I have it on another line. All right. Actually, I have a lot of charts up. So let me give you guys SPY real quick. Any question while I wait real quick? And then I'm gonna pull up SPY. All right, so okay, I did the standard deviation in the regular chart on SPY. Here's SPY, SPY. So as you can see, same thing. I do the same thing that I do with SPX with SPY. So same thing, this is my orange box. I said price is gonna stay right here in the orange box or in the gray box. And remember, I told you guys, SPY trades the same way as SPX. It just does it slower. So whatever XPX is gonna do, SPY end up doing it. So this box right here, the gray box, was gonna be what price contains in SPY. And notice that SPY didn't go as high as XPX did. SPY came up into 0.75 and rejected from the 0.75 standard deviation and started coming back down. And it went down, it passed my potential low, which is the gray one, but it did not come down to my ultimate potential low. And price stayed here. So if you were playing here, then price literally for the day stayed inside the box that I said it was gonna stay in. And then same thing for standard deviation on SPY. If I go down to the 3-minute, when price opened, this is what I had up. When the market opened, you can see it. This was yesterday, price gapped up, did the same thing XPX did, started coming back down and consolidated and came back up. It didn't even poke my potential high. XPX did it, but SPY didn't. So price came up here and started consolidating and then it started dropping and went all the way down. And I knew it was gonna change because here we are, we crossed over. And then SPY came all the way down. It somewhat went below my potential low, the first potential low, but it didn't come anywhere close to my ultimate potential low. This gray one is my intermediate, but the orange one is my main one. If price breaks out of it's okay if price break out of my gray one, it's fine. What I don't want to see is price breaking out of my orange one. My orange one is my ultimate highs and lows. All right, so let me pause for any question. Let me pause this for a second and I'm gonna stop sharing. Let me know if anybody have any question. Let me stop recording as well. And open up the floor for any questions. You chart live. Yes, I do, Shakira. No, I didn't say that right. Let me try it again. Shakitra, did I say it right, Ms. Patterson? Yes, I do chart live. So when I do go live on, whenever I go live on the Telegram channel, I'm charting it. So I actually chart prior to me going live because I'm always charting. I don't have to really chart every day because all I got to do is update my chart if I need to. So I don't really chart every day, but I go live and I was charting this morning. I had to update some zones and I went ahead and charted. Yes, Jazz, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, you said something about the crossover, and I wanted to see if you were talking about when the candle started switching down or when the lines, the blue and the orange line started crossing over. I just want to know what you were referring to.
Got it. Yeah, I can help you with that real quick. Let me get to 8 EMA and 2. Let me use. All right. So I'm going to show you to you on the one I'm on right now. I think it might. Do I have the EMAs on here? All right, let me bring this one back over. You can see it. I'm going to do SPX for you. So I use moving average. Are you familiar with moving averages? So you can use simple moving average.
No, not really.
Not really. Okay, so that's what I use. Moving average kind of helped me to know. Here we go. They're different ones. I use 8. I use 20. I use 72. I use 200. 200. So I use different moving averages for different time frames. So here's what it looks like. This is SPY. So if I'm looking on the 15 minutes, and so my blue is the 8 EMA and my orange is the 20 EMA. 20-day moving average and 8-day moving average.
You sharing your screen?
I'm not sharing. No, I'm not. Thank you. I thought I was. Let me go back to share screen and then desktop too. Here we go. All right, can you see it now? All right.
Yes.
So blue is my 8 EMA. And I like to use exponential versus, because you can use a regular moving average and you can use exponential moving average. I like exponential because it tracks current price or close to the price versus simple. I don't know, I just like exponential. So I have my 8 EMA and I have my 20 EMA. Blue is the 8 and then orange is the 20. So what happened is whenever the blue is above the orange, that means we're uptrending. Whenever the blue crossed down the orange, that means we're downtrending. You can see that. So as the blue crossed down, you can see that we're now downtrending. See it? So every time the blue cross up or down, if the blue stayed below the orange line, then the market is down on whatever time frame that you're on. So if I'm doing an intraday trade, if I'm doing a 1 hour, I'm looking for the blue to be down and stay below the orange line. That tell me that the market is down. Whenever the blue is below the orange, notice how the blue crossed over the orange. And it's only blue and orange because those are the colors that I use. You can choose whatever color you want. But in this sense, whenever the 8 EMA, let me use the numbers instead of the colors because you can make it whatever color you want. So whenever my 8 EMA, or they call it EMA, whenever my 8 EMA line crosses down the 20 EMA line, then market is downtrending for me on that time frame. Whenever it crosses up the 20 line, whenever the 8 crosses over the 20 line, that means we're in an uptrend mode. Does that answer your question?
Yes, can you repeat what you said whenever the EMA crosses the 20?
It depends on which one you're using. Again, on this chart, I have the 8 and the 20. You can use different EMA. Some people use 9 and 21. Some people use 72 and 2. It depends on what you're going to use for your chart. So test different EMAs. You can actually Google it. But for me, the one I have right now for this purpose, I have the 8 EMA, which is in blue, and I also have the 20 EMA. So that means how price is moving in an 8-day period over 8-day time frame, and how price is moving over a 20-day time frame. That's what it means. So whenever my 8-day time frame crosses down my 20, that means I'm downtrending. Whenever my 8-day crosses up my 20, that means I'm uptrending for that moment. Does that make sense?
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Let me move this out of the way.
Somebody asked, how long do you generally test a strategy for? Did you
How
answer
long
that
do I
already?
test my strategy for?
A strategy in general.
So it depends. Let me stop sharing for a second so I can see you guys. There we go. Stop sharing. And I can also stop recording.